How you doing? It's Josh and Brent. Welcome to another adventure in landlording. Today we're just returning from looking at a few properties and doing some landlording up north. And yeah, it's a timely topic today. It's actually getting out of your comfort zone and investing in real estate outside of your local market. So I think Brent has the same type of story. I started investing in my own local market, and I was pretty comfortable knowing that things were a block away or a 5-minute drive away. And you reach a certain point, like we're seeing in the real estate market right now, these southern markets are super competitive and super expensive. So, you know, I started in Barrie, and Barrie got overpriced, so I started buying in Aurelia. Aurelia got overpriced. Switched it up to North Bay, and we're seeing the market actually become super competitive and expensive there for, you know, what we like to pay for things. So we've bought things further and further north in Rutherglen and Cobalt and Temiskaming Shores. We just looked at a place in Sturgeon Falls, and these are markets way outside our local kind of region. So the furthest thing we have is what, about 3.5 hours away from our house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Well, it started at 2, and then you're like, well, what's another?
right. North Bay was 2 hours away, and I thought that was quite far. But then we started, you know, finding stuff that was even further away. Now, what we want to talk to you today about is that being an attainable thing, and to not really shy away from that or be afraid of that particular scenario. There are some tricks and some tips that we can help you along with, and hopefully this video is helpful in that regard.
Owning properties a considerable distance away from your home can be easy if you keep certain things in mind. When you visit your property, it's important to always keep your eye out for significant changes. We look for broken down cars, RVs, snowmobiles, and ATVs that don't work, and they may have accumulated in your driveways or on your lawns or nearby. If you don't keep your property presentable, you may be looking at a hefty fine from the local bylaw officer. Dangerous overhanging branches can also be super costly if somebody gets injured or if property is damaged. Have an arborist take care of these issues before they become a real problem for you. Broken windows and accumulating garbage can also tick the neighbors off, and this stuff is never good for property values. Lastly, an increase in police presence in your neighborhood is never a welcome sign. Try and get a neighbor to keep you informed of any bad situations that may be arising at your property. Make sure you have a business card printed so you can leave it with reliable members of the community. It's also super important to always be in close communication with your tenants, particularly if you live far away. I find texting is the best way to do this because you don't have to be involved in lengthy phone conversations, but you can be reached quickly. Make sure to tell your tenants that you must be informed immediately if there's an important maintenance issue like leaky pipes, leaky roofs, and leaky toilets, or anything else that may need to be addressed quickly before the costs get out of hand. It's also important to show up at your rental property as often as you can. We try and show up somewhat regularly. We do a water test every 2 weeks, so we're often in the neighborhood. We also like to change furnace filters and get ourselves actually inside the units to see how they're being kept. It's very important to always give your tenant 24-hour notice before you enter the unit. In addition to this, each building should have an anchor man or an anchor woman. And by this, I mean a reliable tenant who wants to keep the building in good shape and keep the undesirable people away. In each of our multifamily buildings, we've chosen a reliable tenant who flip thrown breakers, let people in if they've locked themselves out, or help with minor issues. We greatly value these tenants, and we try and show them this appreciation as much as we can. Screening tenants is, of course, the most important thing that you can do to keep your long-distance income property running smoothly. Check prospective tenants' Facebook and Instagram pages. Social media can tell you a great deal about the person you're dealing with. Of course, you also have to make sure they have enough money to cover the rent. You're looking for tenants who have had stable jobs for long periods of time, and good credit reports, and a good history of renting apartments successfully. Finally, make sure to write a great lease which lets the tenants know about their responsibilities. Make sure that the lease that you're using is recognized by the municipality or province or state that you're doing business in. We can't always be around to remove the snow each time it accumulates, so we make sure that the tenants understand it's their responsibility for snow to be removed from their walkways or the front of their units. We pay plowers to clear larger driveways, but this responsibility may vary from region to region. Tenants also should realize that junk can't build up around the building, and you probably want to add in your lease that your building is non-smoking. All smoking should be done outside. Make sure tenants are aware that you don't live locally, so all these rules have to be followed in order for the building to run smoothly. Be firm, but fair. Tell them straight up how you're going to deal with them, and then stick to it.
First of all, if you want to invest in a market outside of, your local market, the best thing to do is find a real estate agent who knows that you're a real estate investor, knows that you might be buying multiple properties, and that real estate agent can tell you the good neighborhoods and the bad neighborhoods. They can tell you basically where the deals are, what to bite at and what not to bite at. And that same real estate agent can often find you the names of plumbers or electricians or tradespeople that you'll need in order to run that property successfully. So we did find that in each market that we've bought in. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, the Laframboise executive realty team in the North Bay really helped us out when we moved there.
Yeah, and Mark Martin.
Yeah, you just it takes a while to allow yourself, when you think of all these crazy thoughts, like because something's so far away, you think that just because you bought it, things are going to start to go wrong, and it's not true. Like, don't worry about it. Don't think about it like that.
Yeah, you have to go in with confidence for sure. What we're finding is this markets become exhausted, or they get too competitive, they get overpriced. The cap rates are like super low.
Yeah.
So that's why we keep moving to different markets, and we will continue to do so until there are no more markets.
Well, we'll just keep. I mean, this is the way that we're doing it. I mean, I don't know if what we're doing is for everybody, and that we've sort of given ourselves a job. So we drive around looking for deals, and do our own maintenance, and this is how we do it, and it's working out really well for us as it stands right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a really a lucrative thing to start to look at if you are a property investor. You're looking to build your portfolio, then I would really look into taking that step.
Yeah,
Nothing to be scared of.
for sure. And I know a lot of people like Matt McKeever's got really good information about what markets are growing and what markets have good employment and the demographics of the market. Like, are there a lot of old people that are going to start dying off? Is there a younger population moving in? Are there people earning a decent living? Like, what is the main employer, right? Like, the last thing you want to do is buy into a market where the mine just closes and the bloody thing turns into a ghost town, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you want to have a look at the market demographics, but you also don't want to let that dictate everything about your purchasing, right? So, like, at the end of the day, this is the way I see it. This bloody province has a housing shortage, full stop. Like, every market you go to, the vacancy rate is very low. And that's because there just is not enough housing, okay? Like, not everybody can afford to buy a house, and people got to live somewhere. So, we bought stuff in rural areas in a place called Rutherglen, which is, 20 minutes east of North Bay, in the middle of nowhere.
Great property.
Never had a trouble renting
Perfect.
stuff out.
If you're going by statistics and whether or not that town has any future, then you never would have bought there. But it's one of the greatest investments we've made.
Yeah. So don't be afraid of that. It is a good formula to growing your portfolio quicker. The quicker you get your portfolio together, the quicker you can quit your job if you're not into your job, take those vacations, get the nicer things in life that you've been looking for.
Financial freedom. I mean, this is the end goal, right? Like, we're not doing this for our unabashed love for housing.
So we think it's a great thing to do. We advocate that type of strategy, and we hope that you give it some thought.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Check it out.